Hey everybody, we're at the Imp and the Ogre. My name is Paul.
And I'm Ryan.
Today Ryan's mostly going to complain about the Lich Queen's Beloved.
Yes, as a 3rd edition D&D adventure from Dungeon Magazine 100, originally published in 2003. Lich Queen's Beloved was written by Christopher Perkins, which you may have heard of before, and it's designed for 18th or 19th level parties. If you want to get your own copy of this, the PDF is available on the Paizo website, along with all the other Dungeon Magazine and Dragon Magazine PDFs as well.
Yep. The goal of this adventure is to overthrow the evil Githyanki Lich Queen. Vlaakith, the bunch of numbers. The successive.
16th, 17th,
Yeah.
27th? I can't remember. I didn't write it down.
She lives in the astral plane.
In the legendary Githyanki city of Tunarath.
And you're tasked to
kill her.
Stop her.
You're literally... the whole quest is to kill one of the most powerful creatures...
Ever.
So
it suggests doing this in two ways. Either have played a Githyanki campaign the entire way through, or you just get petitioned basically by acts of doing stuff.
Generally awesomeness.
And being super powerful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense. This makes more sense if you understand like the nature of Githyanki. The whole culture is based off of the fact that once a Githyanki reaches 16th level, they are summoned to the palace, or the Susurrus Palace, or whatever it is, the Palace of Whispers, and they are killed by the Lich Queen. She brokers no competitors, so once you reach a high enough power level, your soul is basically eaten, and she absorbs your power. So the idea behind, if you were Githyanki to begin with, is that you had defied the summons and had been in hiding effectively because you don't want to
die,
captured and have your soul eaten.
Yeah. I guess a little backstory to the whole point of the adventure is that she is attempting to become a god.
Yeah, I guess we need to explain that.
And she's been trying to do this by successively casting thousands of wish spells.
Yeah.
The city resides on the husk of an old god.
A dead god. Dead, quote-unquote god. So yeah, she's trying to tear the divine spark from this dead god.
So by sucking the life energy out of anybody that reaches the 16th level in power, she's effectively regaining the experience to be able to cast
Wish again. So, I mean, basically, the adventure culminates in one of two ways. You kill the Lich Queen, or she obtains godhood and completely changes the nature of the multiverse, if you will. So yeah, I mean, this adventure kind of hinges on whether or not your players know anything about the Githyanki and the Githzerai.
Yeah, there's a bit of like politics that you need to know, I guess.
I think it's more satisfying if you know what is going on. Like who this person is. So I don't know if this is an adventure that I would run with people who don't know anything about the Gith. That being said, Mordekainen's Book of Secrets, is that what it's called? The new one? Book of Foes, that's what it is. It has a lovely section on Githyanki and Githzerai, so you can always read that to provide information. That being said, of course, this is basically a capstone adventure for max level, so presumably anybody playing it isn't going to be a new player. I wouldn't start a new D&D player with a 19th level character. That seems cruel.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, personally, I'd probably run this as a one-shot. Well, not one-shot, because you probably couldn't do it in one section. But I don't know that I don't know that I would run it as a capstone, unless you've had an entire Githyanki campaign.
Yeah.
Which is a little focused to run for 17 levels previous to this. Because and on top of that, I don't think it's be very satisfying as a capstone adventure.
Yeah, it's either like you need to start a campaign with this end goal in mind somehow, that like...
Which, good luck running from level 1 to level 20
right,
with any group of people.
And she's been at this for a long time. And yeah, probably that's what I was thinking. The same thing. Probably just run this as a one shot, like a solo. You're starting at a high level with players that were interested in playing at a high level.
Yeah, I think it's fun as a way of, most campaigns are never going to reach this point. So if you want to experience what it feels like to be a level 18th or 19th paladin, make one and do it.
And even if that's like, I guess if you finish that 9th level and they're like, oh, we really want to play at this level, but we don't have the opportunity to get there, tell your players to level up their own characters to this level and just do it with their characters. So maybe there's a bit of investment.
I don't know. I would never do this with my own characters, because what I would do, I would just be like, you know what? Make your own type of crazy character. Because when you have a high enough level, you can start deciding that you want to be like a monster, right? Like your player could be like an ogre berserker, because you can handle the level adjustment for playing monstrous PCs. So what I was thinking, I can't remember if I wrote it down or not, but what I would do is I would just let them go bonkers. Like, say that they're an interdimensional hit team that's getting hired, because you get hired regardless.
Squad.
Even better, totally. You could run this as a Suicide Squad, in that you get rescued from an interdimensional prison, and fitted with head exploding collars if you don't. With the goal of this, because I think you could be like genies or elementals, like you literally, because you can absorb or dragon, right? You could probably play a dragon if you wanted to. Like, why not just go bonkers? I mean, don't play a dragon because of reasons,
Because
you don't want to get because of
don't be a red dragon.
Don't be a red dragon. I guess you'd be a different color of dragon.
Yeah.
But I think it's an opportunity to just go crazy.
But it would be awesome if you were a red dragon and you didn't know anything about the Githyanki.
Yes, then you'd be
dominated.
You'd be dominated in a heartbeat. I don't know. It's an opportunity to. I would just literally tell my players, like, make the craziest, most min-maxy character. You want multi-class feats, go bonkers, because you might be dead 10 minutes into this adventure.
Oh, absolutely.
So why not try to make the most overpowered thing ever? One other thing I wanted to mention about this is, if you're interested, I do know that this adventure was one of the adventures that was used as a test case by the Wizards R&D team to test out the 5th edition playtest. So there's you can see it on YouTube if you want to watch Mike Merles play D&D. I believe he was one of the testers on it. I haven't personally watched it, but I know they converted it to the 5th edition playtest rules and ran the whole thing. So there's hours of this adventure on there. If you're keen on that. The other thing I got a kick out of reading this is it's 3rd edition, so there might be 1,000 magic items in the entire thing. Everybody and their dog has several magic items in this, which is kind of funny because in 5th edition, like, nobody has magic items. So
and you have the opportunity to become like the dominator of the red dragon flight at the end of this.
I guess if you got the magic item, yeah.
Like, if you defeat her and her phylactery, you get her
stuff.
So you could just slip the crown on,
start creating your own
summoning
undead.
elder dragons.
Yeah, I guess technically, I'm not sure if you have to be a Gith to do it, but the ramifications if you manage to survive this, I guess, are multifaceted.
See, it would be kind of cool if, like, you played it like an avatar of Gith in this, like someone did, because it says in there that, like, the Githyanki believe Gith, their founding deity, or whoever it was.
Gith is the champion that led the I guess I don't know what their original species name was, but led them in revolt against the Illithid in the Mind Flayers. So in the mythology, Mind Flayers once had a multi-planet spanning empire, and they were defeated by a rebellion it was led by Gith, and now they are fractured and live in small reclusive enclaves everywhere, eating brains.
The folklore of the Githyanki is that if Gith would come back and save them from mortal doom, so that could be kind of like if you were doing your pick anything and someone was like, well, I want to be an avatar of Gith. You're like, that'd be kind of neat.
Gith returned.
Yeah.
I think there's This is a situation where I just let my players play as crazy as anything they wanted. Like, this is your opportunity to try to make the most overpowered, broken, ridiculous characters you can, because you fight like 5 dragons over the course of this adventure. I mean, you fight a 2-headed dragon, which was my favorite thing, I think, of the entire thing.
Really?
There's a 2-headed
I liked
dragon.
it. I think you should have put it at a different spot.
I think it's a terrible spot. I think there's lots of problems with the adventure, but like, in full disclosure, I don't particularly enjoy this adventure. It isn't my cup of tea. It doesn't tickle my DM bones, if you will. Like, there's nothing in here that'd be like, oh, that's awesome, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, there's very little in this that I read and I'm like, oh, I should totally steal that for my own campaign. I'm like, okay, sure, that's a thing.
I thought there's really like cool things in it.
There's
like,
a lot of cool things.
Like there's lots of neat rooms. Like,
we'll talk about
the
those.
whole theme of the palace was awesome, but like, it's something that I would want to do. Probably not. Yeah.
Well, my biggest issue, and this comes down to, is like, I don't particularly enjoy a high-level play in general because it takes too long and there's too much going on. Especially when there's lots of enemies. In some of these fights, there's lots of enemies, all of which can do lots of things.
Yeah.
And, I haven't experienced high-level play in 5th edition, so maybe some of that's streamlined now, but I know if, like, in Pathfinder in 3rd edition, like, it's a mess. Because there's just so much that can be done and is going on. And so the general thing I kind of wanted to complain about before we get into the nitty-gritty things about complaining is, this is a Lich queen, so you have the opportunity to kill her, and then you have to find the phylactery to destroy the phylactery, or I can't remember what the rules are for Lich. You regenerate after a month or something like that.
It's like a dice roll on a certain amount of days, I think it is.
Yeah, whatever. It's an X number of time before your body reforms. So you need to find the phylactery. So the PCs, as we'll talk about briefly, have some information on where the phylactery is. It's wrong. And to get into the actual, like, tomb, sarcophagus that has the phylactery, you need this crazy key, which the PCs have no information about.
Yeah.
So reading it, I'm like, man, is this adventure possible without casting like high level, like divinity spells, like casting commune and other high level priest spells where you like talk to your god to find out, so what am I supposed to do next?
Maybe. I mean, that's one of the suggestions that it even gives in the front of the book, is that if you're not 18th or 19th level and you're trying to run this, is that you probably, like, if you're running at 16th level, you need help from gods. Like, it suggests that, right? So maybe that's how you win.
I don't know how you win. I'm just saying, like, you need information. And I mean, I don't particularly enjoy those spells that much at all, because it's just a win button, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to do. I ask my god, and then it's totally a DM thing. Be like, the DM, your god thinks you should be working harder to find this answer, so they don't give you any information.
I guess you could give it to them in the answer of a riddle.
You know, like, I don't really care that much. Realistically, they would probably stumble across parts of this ahead of time, so I could see it asking more like, what is this, more than anything else, and then maybe getting the answer to it. Or
maybe whatever the name of that general is.
Oh, I didn't even write it down. There was like a lot of apostrophes.
The Githzerai general. Maybe he has the information.
I think he's a Githyanki.
Is he a Githyanki?
He lives in Tunarath or whatever.
Maybe he has that information that he can pass on.
Well, no, because he's the one who thinks that it's in the library. He's like, let's start. So let's just work our way through this before we nitpick about. There's a lot of people really confused about why are we talking about this random thing. Okay, so for whatever type of character you make, your Suicide Squad, your international superhero team of renown, however you want to be.
Teenage Mutant Beholders.
Teenage Mutant Beholders. Oh, that would be awesome. I like that a lot. It is that I completely gone now. Wherever your party ends up being, a Githyanki and a Githzerai show up, and your characters are supposed to know, like, oh my goodness, these two races hate each other. Why are they both here at the same time? what is going on?
And you're trying to be recruited.
Yes, they want to recruit you for a mission, and you can say yes or you can say no.
My favorite part about this whole thing is if you say no, they send like assault squads to murder you over and over and over.
Yeah. I like that part. I also like where you're like, oh, we're only going to come if we meet your boss first. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And then like a random person shows up who's totally not the actual boss, but says, yeah, I'm their boss. And they're like, all right.
Nice.
Good. Yeah. We mean business.
I just love that if you're like, nah, not interested, they just send hit squads after you.
Well, because you found secret information about their secret group, you know, implicitly, if not explicitly, right? So regardless, you get recruited. You get plane shifted, I guess, to Limbo, because this is where they live, on a dead god floating in the plane of Limbo. And you get taken to a compound, fortress, house. It's not even secret. It's just like a house.
Yeah, where he runs business out of.
You know, military complex in Tunarath. And there you meet the general guy. He explains what he wants to do, and his major plan is he's part of this cult that wants to reunify the Githyanki and the Githzerai into a common species or common culture, however you want to think about it. And I literally cannot remember what caused the schism once upon a time.
The reason for all of this, though, is that the Lich Queen is creating a new race.
Oh, yeah, of half Gith, half dragons.
Half Gith, half red dragons. So they're not happy with her doing this, so they're trying to overthrow this whole thing. So there's motivation behind all of this. But
and there's earthquakes. They think she's causing something. They can't prove that she's causing earthquakes in their city, but she is, because she's trying to steal the spark from it. So there's all these motivations. So basically, you are told what your mission is. I don't really think you get the option of saying no, because once again, it's they don't let you go. So
I mean, I guess you could just like plane shift away at level.
I guess you can't really stop you. I mean, obviously you're more powerful than these people.
Because nobody's above level 16.
Because nobody's level 16. So you could just murder them all. Anyways, for whatever reason, let's say you agree to do this. And I can't remember, do they pay you? I can't remember what
No, he just says that the castle is full of lots of pretty things. Oh, you can have all of them. We're not interested in them. Which is like insane. But he just says you can have whatever you want. And there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I know, but like, you don't really need his help to get in there. You know, like
you literally just walk in.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting because like there's no real reason to do this. And if your players are this powerful, it's like, why wouldn't you just like hit softer targets? Like if you're willing to just like overthrow a random, you know, nation, why not pick like an easier one?
Yeah, just rule the material plane.
Yeah. Right. Like who cares? Anyways, let's assume
that
your players have buy-in on this, and they don't want to just become international conquerors or interdimensional conquerors.
Yeah. You head to the Palace of Whispers.
Well, I mean, Cicerus, the Palace of Whispers. Before we get there, I just wanted to mention that like there's no time frame on this. So I guess it assumes that there's going to be lots of planning by the PCs. Like you don't have to rush off and do this. So you got basically infinite time. And considering the fact that you can plane shift and have greater teleport, you can gather whatever you think you might need from the multiverse.
This whole thing just falls apart. Like as soon as you step into the palace, she knows you're there.
Oh, I assume everyone.
And she's casting wish spells willy-nilly. She could just be like, man, I wish these guys really weren't bothering me anymore.
Maybe Wish doesn't work that way. I can't remember the rules of Wish off the top of my head. Anyway, so yes, to get into the palace, you literally just go to this statue and say the command word, and it teleports you into the palace.
Yeah, which is like Gith or something.
Something like that. And then once you're inside the palace, you can teleport around in the palace, but you can't teleport out of the palace.
And you can also...
So you can check in, but you can't check out.
And if you figure it out, you can fly at will with the power of your mind.
Everybody can fly.
Just by thinking about it.
By thinking about it. Of course, you don't know this, and nobody knows this, and the adventure's like, yeah, you should probably figure this out at some point. I'm like,
when
how
you
do
see the dragons with no wings flying.
Yeah, but it's because magic, man. Like, how are you supposed to just know that you can fly with your mind?
I don't know.
I don't know. I guess you cast a spell, or just like make a roll Be like, oh, you can fly with your mind.
I think they said, yeah, there was like, if you can roll a high enough check, you can figure it out. But yeah.
Okay, so the funny thing is, like, as soon as you go into here, you start hearing whispers coming from the Whispering Palace, right? So you got to make a will save, which if you fail, you're afraid for as long as you're in the palace. So you can show up and have a penalty for the rest of the adventure.
And if you succeed, I think you have to continue to keep rolling it.
I can't remember.
But the awesome thing about that, too, is that if you fail immediately, you get -2 on all your checks.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're in the presence of the queen, you're frightened.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of inconvenient up until the point when you're supposed to confront the thing you want to defeat.
Which should be the first thing you do.
And then you're terrified. And you're just, running away. Yeah.
That's funny. There's also all these rune traps everywhere, which are brutal. It's like...
It's save or dies.
They're almost
everywhere.
all save or dies. Like, hey, what's this say? Oh, whoops, you tripped it. Oh, you're dead. Oh,
one of them is like a death board.
One of them is just save or die.
One's an insanity,
losing abilities,
mind,
feeble minds. Yeah. You're basically a can of tuna. They're all brutal. They all have ridiculous saving throws. I mean, you can make them. It's all scaled. You're high level, right? But they're all difficult saving throws. They're literally everywhere.
Yeah.
And
anything you want to open is full of nasty things.
Full of nasty things. So there's tons of save or die or save or suck functions everywhere. The whole place is under the effects of Unhollow. So all undead gain innate bonuses inside it, and there's tons of undead.
Yep.
There's crazy doors.
Yep.
Everywhere. Right? There's 3 types of crazy doors. Okay? There's ectoplasmic doors, which are big goo doors, which
Flesh
you can
doors.
only open by commanding them with your mind. If you attack them, they attack you back and drain ability scores. So you got to know to think to open them. There's zombie doors that only open for undead creatures, which you have to fight to kill to open them. And then there's gray mist doors, which aren't even real doors. You can walk right through them, but if you're not dead, you take tons of damage.
Yeah. I mean, like, as much as I don't think I would want to run this, I feel like they did a really good job of creating, like, a Lich Queen's palace.
Yeah. There's lots of gross and random and weird things in here, and some really cool imagery.
Like the esophagus
hallway. Esophagus hallway, yeah, that was pretty cool. There's a hallway that like contracts
as soon
with,
as
like,
you
muscle.
step inside of it and contracts you all the way down the hallway with muscle.
And then you go through one of these gray mist doors and take a ton of damage. You basically get swallowed by the palace. And the funny thing though is like, one of the reasons why I don't like this adventure that much is because it's not crazy enough for me. Right? It's a big dungeon. It's just thematically the same. And for like the way I would look at this, if you actually ran this as a capstone adventure, this might be the last adventure you play for this campaign, unless you're going into epic levels, which not everybody cares enough to do. If I'm playing a high level, I want like ridiculously bonkers things to be happening, right? Like I want to be in another dimension, dealing with environmental factors, fighting on the flaming back of a magma drake while, you know, the king of bronze is hurling molten things. You know, like I want it to just be, you know, you're jumping from micro moon to micro moon fighting the Mudrons. You know, like it should just be
insane,
crazy. And, you know, yes, you're in limbo and yes, it's the Githyanki, but ultimately the entire dungeon is a palace.
Right.
Right. Like, and once you're in there, yeah, there's some weird things, but it's not like you could just lower the damage and lower the difficulty on the saving throws and run this as like a 10th level adventure, right? Like it wouldn't feel out of place as being in any necromancer's lair. You see what I mean? Like it's not,
the theme of the whole thing isn't epic enough.
Yeah, the theme of the thing is great. Like it's a perfectly good necromancer thing, but like I want crazy, right? I want. These are people that can. This is a person that can cast multiple wishes.
Like you think you might be wanting to shatter worlds at those levels and rip the fabric of reality, and there should be like a real investment in wanting to stop this person because the change in reality.
Yeah, I think there could be nuttier things, and most of the enemies you fight in here are humanoid, standard, undead, or Githyanki. Like there's nothing in here where you're just like, whoa,
like a weird limbo beast.
You fight dragons, but like it's D&D. You've been fighting dragons. Well, if you did the Lost Mines of Fandelver, you did it at level 3, right? Like, so you've been fighting dragons nonstop. You're just like, oh, great, more dragons. Instead of fighting, the Fire Lord of Magmar, who's this building-sized ball of magma or something like that. I think there should just be more craziness for me. Like, it's fine, but, if you're fighting a high-level necromancer, you should be on, like, could you imagine you're on the back of a flying undead space whale or something like that? I just think you could make it crazier. Like,
right.
The palace is too boring.
Standard. Yeah.
Considering
you've been crashing palaces probably for, ages.
Considering you can cast Plane Shift and go check out anything in the multiverse at this level.
Fair point. Yeah.
It's not exciting enough for me.
One of the things that I liked in this was, I can't remember what, there's the black heart that's in here.
Oh yeah,
and if you
I wrote that down
so
somewhere,
it's a high DC, and I can't remember what it was. It's some environmental type hazard, but if you fail your check, you're stunned, and then
it changes your alignment,
and then it does it again. So if you fail your second check, you become chaotic evil, and you think that the Lich Queen is a trusted ally of yours.
Yeah, it's the Black Heart Trapper. I wrote that one down too. It makes you trust Vlaakith, and your alignment shifts to chaotic evil.
Right. So it's like,
which isn't a thing in 5th edition, so I'm not sure really how you do the transition there when alignments don't matter, but you could probably just make yourself an ally. I mean, the funny thing is you could walk into this room and the adventure's over because everyone fails and everyone is on Blackest.
Like, I thought there was really, like, cool things in here that, if anything, you could pull them and, like, scale them down. Like the, like that skin sphere that she created.
The skin sphere is super cool.
I mean, I guess we're just talking about things we really like and don't like as so much as what's going on in this adventure.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the skin sphere, and then I kind of want to back up a little bit here.
So the skin sphere is a sphere of skin that the Lich
Queen...
Queen...
skin, I believe. Mind Flayer skin.
Right, so that the Lich Queen created this space because the whispers don't penetrate it. But there's like swarms of zombies, I think, on the outside of it.
It's a double layer balloon, if you will.
Yeah.
So there's an outer layer, there's an inner layer of the room, and inside the inner layer, all you hear is like moaning and groaning, which is super awful, but soothing apparently to the undead Lich Queen. And all the moaning and groaning is because it's stuffed with like 1,000 zombies.
Yeah.
So if you attack it, it rips open, and like 1,000 zombies spill out of it. And I thought that was cool imagery.
Yeah,
for sure.
Maybe that's what I liked most about this, is the imagery in it.
Yeah. So but before we start talking about like just the cool random stuff, I want to come back to something you said already, is that as soon as you get inside the palace, unless you're undead, which, to be honest, like, you could find that out, turn you all into like your own liches and vampires, and then get around this problem.
Right. She has clairvoyance or clairaudience.
Yeah,
constantly
she knows. She knows if there's living creatures in the palace, and she can scry on them at will. So basically, the moment you show up, she knows you're there.
Yeah.
You're also like adjacent to the throne room, because this is the audience chamber. You're supposed to go in there.
Like, you can run into her right away.
And I think the intention is that you're supposed to run into her right away.
Right.
Right? Like, you're an assassin squad. What are you going to do, like, explore all the back rooms before you...
True.
So I think the idea of this is you're supposed to basically just like teleport in and then kick down the front door, and you're right into the fight. Right? I assume that's what happens.
That must be true, yeah.
Right? Like, why would you, like, why...
She wouldn't let you wander around.
And, like, kill the creatures in, like, the side rooms beforehand. Like, as soon as you're in there killing stuff, she's just going to alert the entire palace.
Right.
And just chain pull everybody on top of you, right? So I think your only hope is to hit her immediately. And I think at this point, the party wipes and it's game over. Like, I don't...
Yeah, you're fighting her and 2 dragons.
2 fiendish dragons.
Bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, one thing we haven't mentioned yet is that there's all kinds of these crazy undead that she can create. So we mentioned previously that she eats the souls of... eats the souls, kills everyone who's 16th level or higher.
Takes their essence.
Or whatever it is. Yeah. Steals all their experience points so she can cast Wish again. But when she does that, she turns them into undead, and they're new undead monsters presented in the adventure itself. It depends on whether they were a magic user or a martial character as to what type they turn into. But they're no joke. They're super tough. And then there's also all these half dragon, half gith creatures in here too.
Yeah.
So there's tons of fodder in there. And you're fighting a level 25 Lich wizard and all of this stuff. She's got crazy magic items, right? Her throne of bones, which by the way I thought was awesome. It's a throne created from the skulls of mind flayers. The whole thing. It gives you the ability to cast a ton of magic spells. So
yeah, just sitting on it, you could cast quests on the party as they walk in.
Power word kill.
Yeah.
Right, just boom, 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 boom. If you make your saves.
Which would be a great way to run the encounter. Just have her on the throne, just sitting there as the combat's going on.
Well, I mean, you give you really good instructions on what you should do. So you show up, she casts Time Stop, and then casts like a ton of buff spells, and then can continue to do everything after the fact, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why she'd cast her buff spells when she can, use Time Stop and like gate in a devil and use her rod to
Just
bring in a very old red dragon. Like, I wouldn't mess around.
Yeah.
Right? They're all like, oh, she's overconfident. I'm like, no, you're a group of assassins. You use everything right off the bat and you kill them.
Like, that would be amazing. The first thing you do, she casts Time Stop and then just summons a giant red dragon into the room.
Well, she can do like a bunch, like 6 turns of action. So she can do that. She can cast Gate. She can still cast some of her buffs, right? So you come out of Time Stop and there's another dragon.
Yep.
And some sort of devil. I can't remember what it is. It's got a name. She has its true name, so they're buddies or whatever, right? So it's a big bad. And it's ridiculous. Like, I'm going to complain about the tactics in here. The tactics are like she rushes into battle and leads it. I'm like, nope, not in my campaign. She's a wizard. Wizards lead from the rear.
And almost omnipotent.
Yeah, she's ridiculously powerful and super, like, millennia old. And she's like, oh, look, I'm just going to run in and punch people with my lich hands. Like, come on. That is ridiculous.
I mean, like, yeah. I guess it assumes that you want to, like, let them win.
What? No, it assumes that she wants to let them win.
Yeah.
Even though if she reaches half HP or loses half her bodyguards, she just teleports away and then, like, waits. Like, literally, she teleports away and just sits there while the players slowly clear the rest of the dungeon.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
No. See, that's the way.
This is a no-win.
No, if I'm running this, everything happens immediately. This is not a two-phase fight. It's either she dies because she's going to blow everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, also, it's a high-level mage. She's got contingency cast, or at least she would in my campaign. So when she's dropped down to, like, 5 hit points, she's just going to, like, turn invisible and teleport away, or just plane shift away. Like, there's going to be all types of contingency things in place. So part of successfully defeating her is going to involve, like, a ton of, like, I don't even know if they're in 50, like Mordekainen's disjunction, like magic stripping spells. Like, to survive this, you need to have casters that literally all they do is just strip away her spells. I mean, you need, like, magic nullification stuff, to just remove the buffs.
Yeah.
Like anti-magic zones. Yeah. And, I mean, come on, bring in, like,
that's why if you're a team of beholders,
open your eye. Like, I mean, that's if you can just, that might be a thing to do. You can probably summon beholders or polymorph into a beholder.
Yeah.
Right? Your high level thing, and just use your central eye to obliterate all the magic. And if you can obliterate all your magic, like any magic user, she's kind of hooped.
Yeah.
So if your players are smart, that might be the way to go about it. So literally the way I look at this is either your party wipes,
or they're prepared enough to do something,
or they've prepared smartly and they defeat her.
Yeah.
Right? It's one way or the other. If they defeat her, it's a lich, right? So she's going to reform at her phylactery if they can find it, or they don't find it. And as it says, because of a carefully worded wish spell, all of her magic items are teleported to her sarcophagus. So they don't get to loot any, which is fine. Like, none of them are particularly exciting. Right? I mean, that's the one thing about this. Once again, this is 3rd edition, so there's millions of magic items. But I was thinking as I was reading through it, there was literally not a single magic item that if I was playing an 18th level character that I would bother to pick up. Right? Because at that level, you have all the awesome stuff that you want. So who cares if there's a million low-level magic items? At that level, you collect them all to sell. Right? Like,
true.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I was just reading this. I'm just like, you don't get a single cool magic item. I mean, what she has, like her rod that summons ancient dragons, and she's got her crown that lets her make these undead. You know, those are cool, but
yeah,
nobody else has anything where I'm just like, oh man, that's
cool.
so cool.
Maybe that's what, like, this was written that you defeat or lose in the beginning anyway, regardless of the text that you've mentioned, because like lots of the stuff in the temple itself is like, it would take a lot of time to get around it, right? Like, you're failing saves and you have to cast Greater Restoration and be like, okay, that made us go insane this time. Let's not open it. Like, maybe that's the point, is that it's just like crash and bang, and then you take your time looking through the rest of it, trying to find the phylactery before that amount of time.
But like, how much time? Like,
it says it in there. I can't remember.
Oh, no, but I'm the Lich. I'm just saying, like, if you defeat her, why wouldn't you just like leave, go back to the compound, and say like, yeah, she's dusted.
Yeah.
Bring the troops. Let's sweep the place and find the phylactery. Like, why would you then just keep doing it by yourself? Right? So you fought Vlaakith. You've probably expended literally all of your resources to not die. Then what do you just rest there?
Yeah, you're right.
Right? Like, because suddenly you're still a dungeon full of loyalists.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the thing. I was sort of like, what next? You leave and then come back, right? Like, I was super confused, and I actually kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to watch that R&D video to see like, what did they do?
Right.
I mean, at that level too, you probably have spells to like let you rest, like, was it Mordekainen's mansion or whatever?
Yeah, but
right? Like,
still, you'd need to like be gone for the allotted of time that it needs to.
Or you just cast wish, I guess, multiple wishes to regenerate, because you can use wishes to do that type of stuff, I guess. I don't know.
I would think that you'd expended those spell slots to win the fight.
One would think, because you still have the whole dungeon. So how do you regain your resource? Or maybe you don't. And if you don't, like, there's still tough fights.
Yeah, you're done.
You're not going to be able to defeat them. There's more dragons. There's all kinds of ridiculous craziness. So you want to talk about some of the other craziness that you may or may not get to see, depending on whether or not you survived?
Yeah, I wrote down a few of them. The will grinder trap I thought was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, so that's on the ground floor.
Sucks you in and saps your will every round. If it gets to 0, you get dominated.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of wizards or clerics or something like that in there.
They're dominating a creature in there.
Gray Slad, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's lots of neat things like that. You're like, oh, that's cool that they have that.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing you're ever going to use.
Yeah. I thought the vile tapestry was cool.
Thing that, like, which one was that?
Where it looks like a tapestry on one side, but it's all skin and eyeballs and stuff. And it, like, tries to eat you.
Is the soul grinder? Is that the one where there's the Githyanki that doesn't have legs that flies?
No, that's the warlock minion. That might be in the same room.
Or
that's her, like, her general.
Yeah, or is it, there's like there's another one where they're like torturing on a lithid or something like that. Yeah. Maybe that's where it is too.
Like, there's lots of neat little encounters in here, which is like, if you're fighting the queen anyway, I'm sure she would just like message everybody and be like,
one would assume,
intruders, and then all these super high powerful creatures would come and just murder you.
That's what I would consider. Now, speaking of legless flying wizard guy, I have a bone to pick. Not with him, which is fine. That's an interesting characterization, though I always sort of thought of the Githyanki more as like the Spartans, because they're a militaristic thing. So
they would have murdered him at birth.
One would assume.
Maybe he was the exception.
Maybe they used some sort of,
or maybe she saved him,
divination or something like that to say that he was destined for greatness. But he has a bodyguard, okay? And his bodyguard is a beholder. So first and foremost, nope, that's not how you use beholders. Even in 3rd edition, I think that was bad way to use beholders. Beholders are boss monsters. They're not hired help, first and foremost. Secondly, the beholder, was it the Eye Tyrant armor? When I read that, I'm like, come on, really? This is a thing? So for those of you not familiar with the adventure, the Eye Tyrant armor, I believe, was unique and designed for the adventure. So it's basically heavy armor that gives your beholder the appropriate armor bonuses, but also has 4 mechanical arms on it with little crab claw pincers on it that allows the beholder to
Make 4 attacks.
So he's got swords
Yeah.
that he can attack. And I'm like, you're a beholder. You got eye rays. What is a situation where you're ever going to be like, I'm not going to use my disintegration beam. I'm going to attack 4 times with swords. I'm like, why? Other than maybe it's a cool thing to draw, but like that seems like a poor investment of magical resources when it comes to
True.
A beholder. So I read that, I'm like, man, no. I
mean, I think that just still stands by. Like, there's cool stuff, but you know, the sum of its parts is not greater than.
It's all kinds of random things. I thought some of it was kind of neat. There's the room that has the big dead astral dreadnought, the big space alien behemoth hanging from the ceiling. And one of the things that you can do is crawl down its preserved gullet to find treasure from things that it's eaten.
Very cool.
Which is kind of cool. But once again, you get to the bottom of this gullet and you find the magic items and you're like, oh.
We've got better.
Put it in our bag of holding. We'll sell it later, right?
I did like the treasure room that you get to later on.
That's on the second floor. I want to talk about the trophy vault first, and that's the last thing I have to say about the ground floor.
Okay, go ahead.
So the trophy vault. The trophy room is where there's all like the stuffed heads on the walls and the living trophies too. So this is where I think it's a copper dragon, and there's the plucked rock. They took all his feathers out. So you can theoretically get a copper dragon ally. You just rescue her, and she's like, "Yay! I will help you fight again." And you're like, oh, "Okay."
Is she the one that stays as a kid or something inside the cage, or human most of the time inside the cage?
I can't remember. Yeah. You could also get the rock to work with you, quote unquote, work with you.
Yeah, try and find his feathers.
You know, he's a demon. He'll betray you when he gets a chance. But I mean, anytime there's NPC interactions in an adventure, I'm usually pro that because it's the opportunity to have fun interactions and negotiations and discussions and transfer of information between it. So it's always fun, but
yeah, I mean, whatever.
So the second floor, this is where the treasure vault is, like you said.
I liked it. It was just full of like a ton of thoughtful, creative treasure chests.
Each treasure chest is super in detail described.
Yeah, chests of eyeballs and dragon skins and skulls and bones.
Flayed elithid skin over a framework of, gold dragon ribs, and like literally there's more effort used to describe the chests than there are to describe the contents of the chest. You're like, ooh, that's super cool. What's inside it? There are 6 superior healing potions.
Yeah.
Ooh, right? The one thing I did like is in one of the treasure chests, there's severed heads. And the severed heads can be used to resurrect Githzerai assassins.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, okay, I support that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool idea. There's something else to do with like soul stones, gems, or something like that.
There's neat stuff, yeah. It's basically just like what kind of cool stuff can we think to put in these? It's like a chest full of wands with.
There's all kinds of stuff, but like nothing in there where you're like, ooh, that's amazing. You're like, oh, okay.
This is what you kept in these cool treasure chests?
Yeah, I mean, exactly, and it's exactly it. You're just like, I think you could have maybe had a more boring chest for this. Like, I'm not sure this really merits
making a treasure chest out of gold dragon scales.
Yeah,
I guess if you're like millennia old, you get bored.
Well, you think you'd find better stuff. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you have the whole empire of the Githyanki to find you things, I'd be a bit disappointed, right? Like, I think you should have nicer things. I mean, you're a lich, you have different priorities. But for a treasure vault, there's nothing in there that's super exciting. I mean, I guess at this point, and this is sort of a critique I have of adventuring at this level, is your PCs are like multi-millionaires already. They're walking around with millions of gold pieces worth of gear on them already, right?
And they're sort of like probably beyond material need anyway, right? Like this is like those levels you're starting to get into like timeless bodies, and it's like you'd think that your intellect had expanded beyond a point that like you'd probably even be like, why are we doing this? Like, let's just go chill with the gods.
I agree 100%. Like, that's like, once again, like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like, who cares? Aren't you sort of beyond people's petty morality? Like,
yeah.
I mean, granted,
especially people stuck in like another plane.
Yeah, I mean, granted, like the Githyanki are trying to conquer the multiverse, so there's some sort of incentive to maybe not like them. But at this point, like, I think, I don't know, just being hired by a warlord just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that you need to have, an avatar of somebody come down and be like, yo, you need to do us a solid, or maybe this is the opportunity to become a demigod in and of yourself, right? Like, you can do something cool. I don't know. It seems a little too standard for high level play. Like, yeah, you're not even doing like iconic monsters. You're doing like custom monsters and like creatures with class levels.
Yeah.
For the most part. Anyways, so there's also the library on this level, and yay, I mean, there's every single spell on the planet in books, so good, I guess. I like the shout out to the Book of Vile Darkness, that you can get a Book of Vile Darkness, which is there as an artifact. Also, if you've never seen it, there's the Book of Vile Darkness accessory for 2nd edition, I want to say. Big fan, highly recommend it. You can get it on the DM's Guild, I believe. But this is where the phylactery is supposed to be.
The fake lactery.
And it's not there.
Dun, dun, dun.
Bum, bum, bum. Because you were lied to, or the guy just didn't understand or know properly. So I don't think it's an intentional mislead. It's just not where they were thinking it was.
Yeah.
And then also on this floor, there's the reliquary. Reliquary? Blah, 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 blah.
Reliquary.
Reliquary?
Reliquary.
So this is where Vlaakith is supposed to teleport away to if you kill half of her minions or she reaches half of her hit points in the first battle. I mean, as I said earlier, I think you do or die in that first battle.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're running it as written, she teleports here, and what do we have here?
Dragons?
Undead dragons. More dragons.
This is like, yeah.
All the dragons.
There was some cool stuff in this. I mean, if you do this fight and it happens, you move on next to the caves, right?
And amongst other places. The 2 portals.
Yeah. I mean, there's other rooms that you could go and clear.
Well, no, the reliquary leads to 2 portals, right? One takes you to the hatchery and one takes you to
cave.
Inside the... Yeah. Do you want to... Where was your thought going with
the cave? Well, let's talk about the hatchery because it's kind of like
boring and pointless.
So it's like the hatchery of the Duthkagith.
Duthkagith, yes.
Which is the red dragon Githyanki combination.
You know the first thing I wrote under there?
What?
No point to go here.
I mean, there's not unless you want to burn it down.
No, there's like literally no reason to go there other than being like, oh, I don't think these things should exist, and you want to go commit, I guess, genocide against them, eliminate the species. It's pointless fighting. And once again, like, if you have limited resources, isn't this more like a job for like your supposed allies
that want to murder these things?
Yeah,
anyway?
I mean, I would outsource this.
Yeah,
hugely. You're above trying because it's so mop up work. There's no big scary thing. You can rescue some random, like, there's a dwarf NPC there who will probably die from random
slaves.
Yeah, so like there's a bunch of, you can do a good thing. So maybe that's a mission that one of your PCs have. You have to rescue these people because of reasons.
They're like peasants. They're like nobodies, though.
Oh yeah, they're like level 0 NPCs. I think they're mostly there so you can't just AoE the whole building to obliterate. Like, you can't just go and cast like Earthquake and destroy the whole thing. Because you'll kill all the innocent NPCs in it. So I think they're designed to be more of a tactical hindrance than any other reason. Like, literally, I can think of no amazingly good reason to go there.
They should just be imprisoned children of gods. Well, and you've been employed by the gods to save their children. Yes. Like, there's a better reason, I guess. But anyway, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's not even like a piece of the key to get into the phylactery. I mean, the adventure doesn't even give you a reason to go there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's no reason to go there. But anyways, there's some tough random fights that you can fight, and I guess you smash a bunch of eggs, and I mean, there's not even a dragon there. It's like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand. Whatever.
There's not even a dragon there.
I mean, of all the dragons in this, the place where you're making half dragons should have a dragon. Am I crazy in thinking
they're all magically
there's 5 dragons? There's so many dragons. There's a dragon fight we didn't even mention because it doesn't matter, because it's just another random dragon fight.
Yeah, there's a bunch of dragons.
Right? So there's so many dragons, except for where you're making half dragons, there isn't a dragon. Does that make sense? Why I might have a complaint about that situation?
I'm not disagreeing with you about the dragons.
All right, so you're probably not going to go there, but you might go there, fight some things for no reason, and then come back.
Yeah.
And then the other area is the last area, which is the Heart of the Dead God.
See, this is where I thought it's called the Calcifying Cave. And this is like this is where I was surprised that there was another dragon, a 2-headed dragon. Like I was reading through it and I was like, oh, this is great. Like this is emotional.
Yeah,
there's like really cool things. There's like rooms that you go into, you start feeling like overwhelming emotion of things, of sorrow and hope.
The remnants of the dead god's psyche in there.
If you're a good aligned character, you get like a boon, like +2 permanently to wisdom as like the old god's
knowledge washes
over.
You.
So you enter this like it's like that peaceful part at the end of a video game. Where you've defeated everything and you're headed to your final thing. There's all these really cool things, and then it's like, oh, and then there's another dragon.
Yeah, and there's some other like random encounters in there too.
Yeah,
like for no reason. There's like, oh, and then there's this rock. There's like a rock monster. There's like some more of the undeads or the Duka gifts or Durka gifts. Put all
this stuff before you go in. Have a nice narrative closing to this. Wow. Because I thought like all those things were really neat. The emotional thing was cool. Like I imagine you'd probably be emotional after defeating a almost god. You know, you're inside of an old god. You're getting these boons. Find the real tomb. Just narrate the rest of this. You know, why more combat?
Well, because he's sleeping, and you sneak in there. It's just another dragon. I believe it's like the 5th dragon you fought at this point.
And it's a 2-headed red dragon. If you touch, this is where her actual tomb is, and her actual phylactery is.
And a sarcophagus.
So it's a sarcophagus that's smooth. It has no feasible way to open it, and that's what we were talking about at the beginning of all this, is that you need to find 4 pieces of the doodad, put them together, and it opens it. Like, why would you ever even create a key to your own? Like, why wouldn't you just?
Why would anybody else ever need to get in?
Right,
there?
Like, why wouldn't you just reanimate and be like, oh, I'm up, well, and then just teleport out of it?
Well, no, it specifically says that it will open at her touch. So the only reason that you would have a key is that somebody else would need to get access to your...
Maybe she was like dating another Lich once and they just needed keys to each other's place. I don't know.
And there's like super random places too, right? Like it doesn't make a ton of sense where the bits and bobs are. But yeah, I don't know. You need it so you can get in there? Like literally... I mean, especially at this point, like, why wouldn't you just, like, teleport the whole thing into the heart of a sun? Like, why would you even mess around with getting inside it? I guess you got to make sure what's in there. Like,
yeah. So, I mean, if you find a way to open it, her phylactery's in there, you can just smash it on the ground and it's over.
Well, that's done. I mean, and once again, like I said, to even know where to find this, you'd need...
You'd find the sarcophagus. You would probably not find the key.
There's a couple that you might find parts of. Like, there's a couple of parts that I could see you stumbling across in your general just looting.
Yeah.
And then that might clue you in that, okay, because there's the indentation on the sarcophagus.
Which is her own sigil.
Yeah, which is also the sigil for, like, death, which is all the death glyphs been around.
Yeah.
So you could maybe infer it if you'd found a piece or two, and then if you'd missed them, then you go back and you look for it. And then you come and you smash it.
But then again, it's like, why is this your problem? Yeah, you did the thing that was asked of you.
Yeah.
These guys have like however many days to figure out the rest. And if they can't, maybe they don't deserve to be out of her service.
No, that's exactly it. Like you beat the scary part. Let's send in the cleanup squad. Yeah. Like I don't get why you would continue on, other than it's a game and you're supposed to. You know, yeah. I'm just trying to, like, this is my biggest issue is, like, how would you motivate somebody to do this? Because they don't give you a motivation.
Like, I could understand like, being that high of a level and that high of a power level if that was someone who's like, hey, this is a challenge. Maybe that's, like, a motivation that, like, oh, sure, let's see how powerful we are.
Yeah.
Then you defeat it, and you're like, oh, okay. Well, we know we can beat that thing now, so why do we care if it exists?
Well, you know what would actually be kind of, as a fun motivation, is you could have it as a lead, as you could create a plot where you need to create some sort of uber thing, and to create said uber thing, you need to collect relics or artifacts, right? So you could motivate them not so much in killing her, but you need like the staff of a Puffalafalon or whatever, right? So then it's not so much about killing her,
just getting the item,
it's getting the thing. So she teleports away, you're just like, ah, and then you gotta like look for it, right? Because if you're
like running out with the stuff and like, did you destroy the phylactery? And you're like, no, can't remember.
You wouldn't even need to do it that way. And that if you wanted to do like an epic level campaign, then that's kind of cool, and you could bring in other iconic D&D characters, you know, all of which escape me at the moment, but you know, steal the Kelvin Blackstaff staff, you know, or what's his face, Elminster's hat, you know, like maybe there's a bunch of just random things you need to acquire to create some crazy extra planar Uber engine to save the multiverse, you know, like if your motivation is that, then at least you have a personal reason to find what happened to the items, right? Because I fully agree that if this is just like defeat her, well, you defeated her, and then like the cleanup crew can just scour the place to find and smash something. Like that's a little below your pay grade at that point, to be honest.
True,
right? So, I don't really see the point, and that's kind of my issue with the adventure. Is it's a lot of like, it's super front loaded.
Yep.
Right. Like,
I wish they would have just moved a couple things more front loaded and let it be a nice narrative at the end. Because really, you're here for the battle with the Lich.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could just get rid of most stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is you could make this more interesting if you defeated her. And that summon, and that like maybe you have a signal, and then like an army teleports in, and then suddenly what you're doing is just a bunch of spots, fights. You're trying to make your way through an all-out brawl in the halls of this thing, and you can like, you can see this group's, you can cast a fireball over there to help a group, and instead of having to do every single one encounter, you're still trying to find this thing, your MacGuffin, but then it's a more dynamic environment. Instead of it being structured the way it is, you do this room, well,
there's also
you fight
like
this room.
There's also the societal rule that nobody's above 16th level. These things have just watched you defeat their level 25 Lich Queen. They will probably not challenge you.
Why don't you just claim the mantle of leadership?
Right? Sit on the throne, see what happens.
Yeah.
Cast some spells.
I don't know. It's just overall just not. It's not satisfying to me. Like there's this. If you just want to experience a crazy high-level fight, just do the first fight. Yeah. And just like, hey, you killed the Lich Queen, great. And the whole thing is that fight will probably take you a session at the table.
Yeah, and if like, agree. And if this is the ultimate confrontation of a years-long campaign, I would probably be a little unsatisfied with it.
I would be too. I'd be a little. It's a little anticlimactic. I mean, of the adventures we've talked about so far in this, podcast, the series, I would put this as one of my least favorite. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not satisfying.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to take a look at some other high-level adventures.
I mean,
we've done lots of low-level-ish
We've done
ones,
more low-level, once again, because like nobody reaches a high level, right? Like most campaigns start at low level or first level, and most campaigns end before level 10, right? So in general, there's fewer things because it's hard to be challenging for a high-level party because you have so many means of bypass. Like walls don't matter because even like monks can become ethereal and just walk through walls, right? Yeah. So when you suddenly have a situation where you're like, oh, can't do that because there's lead between every single wall, or which isn't unreasonable, right? I mean, these are people that live in a world where this magic exists. So if you're going to have the money to build something, sure, you put all this stuff in there. Yeah. But when you're creating an adventure where you're mostly looking to plug holes and prevent certain abilities from being used, that just strikes me as like, well, maybe those abilities shouldn't exist in the first place, and then it's not a problem for level design. Anyways, I don't want to distracted by just complaining about high-level play in general. Anyway, so the Lich Queen's beloved. There's some interesting stuff in there. There's some iconic creatures, and if you like fighting red dragons, lots of red dragons, this might be the adventure for you.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyways, thanks for listening. If you have any suggestions of other adventures you might want to hear about, especially if you have any recommendations from other dungeon magazines, because there's a lot of them, I'd like to hear it and let us know.
We will read them. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.